Hi, today I'd like to show you a quick video on how to preserve tomatoes the easy way. So if you've ever picked a glut of tomatoes and you have lots of them, you're not quite sure what to do with them, I'm going to show you today a really simple process to help you take care of them. Maybe you're busy and want to take care of the rest of your garden and get some different things done in the garden, and you just don't have time for canning and all this other kind of stuff. A simple way to take care of them is just to freeze them. So I'm going to show you how I do it. It's really simple. So these are some tomatoes that I've already frozen, and so basically what I do is I clean the tomatoes. I kind of lay them out on paper towels. I leave them completely peeled. I do core them and take out the part of the tomato that, you know, has the green or any kind of yellow on the end of it. And all I do is just cut them and put them on a cookie sheet. I make sure that even though they're touching, that they're not piled on top of each other. And this actually works really well. I kind of throw them in a bag, and then as we get a bag of full tomatoes, then we leave them in the freezer and we just take them out whenever we need them. And sometimes, some years when I have, just lots and lots of tomatoes, I actually do this and wait until winter and do my canning later. I don't always do my canning at the middle of the summer. It's hotter. I have other things coming right. So I've got about 3/4 of a bag of tomatoes here, frozen tomatoes, and I've labeled them. And I'm gonna stick them in my freezer, and I'm gonna show you how I cut up the other ones. So all I do, these are some nice ripe Roma tomatoes. I'm just going to cut the ends off. These don't really have a lot of green, but all I'm gonna do is cut them in half. And some of these small ones like this, I actually sometimes just keep them whole. Now this one did get a little bit of sunburn, not gonna hurt a thing. I'm just gonna cut them and put them on the cookie sheet. And the other thing I really like about doing it this way is that when it's time to either cook your tomatoes or can your tomatoes or whatever it is that you're, trying to do, the skins come off really easy when they're starting to thaw. So you just can slip them off, throw them in a pan. You can add them to soup. I mean, whatever you're growing your tomatoes for, this is just a really great process. Now, you can do this with small cherry tomatoes. Here you can see I've got some things going on at the end of this. All I'm gonna do is just take off the part of the tomato that doesn't look so terrific. This is a small one, so I'm gonna just freeze it whole. This is another small one. I had a little bit of blossom end rot on this one. And you can see it doesn't really hurt anything. I'm just gonna freeze it as is. They're not always super, beautiful when you stick them in the freezer, but these are really delicious Roma tomatoes. I've been really happy with them. I've got some Bonnie's Best, some Better Boys, and these are actually kind of small this year. Usually I have much better success with growing larger tomatoes, but I decided to do these small Roma tomatoes just because I have a new pizza oven. I wanted to, be able to make some nice pizza sauce, and so I lost a lot of the tomatoes that I typically do, but it is what it is. I was going to show you another tomato here. This is a large, I think this was an Abraham Lincoln. And you can see it's got a little bit of green on it. And this is how I core it. I take out the middle core like so. And all I'm going to do is go around and just cut off the green. Anything that you have like this that's green is, you know, most likely not going to taste real good in your food. So I just cut these little things off. You can see how quickly this goes. I'm gonna cut through it and see what's going on this end. Doesn't look like much. These I'm actually gonna quarter and put on my cookie sheet. Again, I'm gonna just cut off the bottom. It's a little bit ripe down there. And again, I'm gonna quarter it. A couple of these, just kind of trim up. I mean, you're basically freezing these at their most ripe, and they are gonna be delicious. They're gonna taste good. They're gonna be, you know, whatever it is you're making them into, a sauce, a soup, they're just so juicy. So let me finish what I'm doing here, and I'll show you the results as soon as I'm done. So as you can see, I ended up with one cookie sheet and another pizza pan full of tomatoes. I'm just gonna throw these into the freezer, and I'll take them out in a couple of days, throw them in another freezer bag, and we'll be able to deal with them at a later date. So you see me process all kinds of fruit, plums, peaches, apricots, and a lot of times that's exactly what I do, is throw them into the freezer. I deal with them later. I have them for all kinds of other dishes that I cook. But the biggest reason that I did it this summer is because I just had so much stuff coming ripe at the same time. I know that I can work on making tomato sauce or stewed tomatoes or whatever I want at a later date. And this just makes it really easy. And then the other thing I do is I have picked a few tomatoes that aren't quite as ripe as some of the other ones. So I just let those sit out on my kitchen counter until they're nice and ripe, and that's really how I like to freeze everything. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps.